Welcome to Mind the Major, where I say use your mind, don't lose your mind, don't get left behind, become a mind. We family over here. Come on over. Yeah, by now you've seen the thumbnail, and there's a question. Are there first-degree murder charges coming in the case of Tyre Nichols? The murder of Tyre Nichols. Do I believe that first-degree murder charges should be added in the case of the death of Tyre Nichols? Yes, I do think that first-degree murder charges should be added, at least for two of the officers involved. That would be Officer Emmett Martin III, well, ex-officer Emmett Martin III, and ex-officer Demetrius Haley. Okay? Why do I think first-degree murder charges are warranted? I'm going to get into that. But first, I also think that there should be one more arrest made in this case. Who might that be? We've all seen the video. The officer that was recorded saying, I hope they're stomping him out, or I hope they stomp him out, somewhere along the lines of that. I believe that officer should be brought up on charges as well. Unless I missed something, when he made that statement, the officer took off. And that's when Nichols receives kicks to the head. So at the least, I think that that officer should be arrested and charged with, if nothing else, inciting violence. I think he should be charged with the other 5 officers. One has to think and say, well, if those words had not come out of his mouth, would Nichols have received those kicks to the head? Which, I'm not a medical doctor, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that those blows to the head, those kicks to the head that he received, are probably the more damaging injuries that he suffered that night. We've all seen the video. No, I won't be showing the video here. Because by now, the whole country has seen it. The whole world has probably seen the video by now. So I don't feel as though that I need to put it up here while I'm explaining what I'm saying right now. We've all seen it. When first degree, people, no, it was a second degree. They go with second degree. Why I say first degree? First degree is premeditated. What is premeditation? The intent. You went in with intent. And some might argue that, no, he didn't go out looking for Nichols to kill him. Did he? Did he not? We all seen the officer put himself in a stance. You know, he didn't just run up and kick him. When he ran up on him, he positioned himself. He positioned himself. He moved himself twice, like 2 to 3 times before actually applying that kick to his head. So if you have the thought process to position yourself, to apply the most force that you can muster with this kick to the head, that is intent. That is intent. When you say to yourself, I need to move, I need to move, I need to position myself like this. I want to get them good. I have to move myself. No, I need to be right here. I need to be right here. There's your intent. There's your intent. And it's not like you're kicking a person in the ribs, in the legs. No, you're kicking that person in the most sensitive part of the body. You're kicking them in the head. You're kicking them in the head. Just imagine how many pounds of force, went into those kicks to Nichols' head. A person can merely fall down and bump his head and be gone. But you're talking about what? 4, 5, 6, 700 pounds of pressure landing to the head, being applied to this man's head, with a person positioning themselves, positioning himself before landing these kicks. Did you not plan to hurt him? No, you cannot say that you did not plan to harm him in a way. At the least, you were trying to render him unconscious. You were trying to render him unconscious with those kicks. And the fact that you stood there and you positioned yourself in a way to land as much force as you could with those kicks means that you thought about it. You thought about it, which is premeditation, which is first degree. So this is what I think needs to happen in this case. You understand what I'm saying? And I wanna give a shout out to Lisa Cabrera. I happened to stumble across this YouTuber Lisa Cabrera page yesterday, and she did a story on Demetrius Haley, who happened to have a history of violence, whereas though he was being sued in federal court for rendering a inmate unconscious while he was a corrections officer. So it's not like he wasn't known to have a history of violence. But that's not even something that's a surprise to me. Because when you have these units, such as the unit they were, the Scorpion unit, when you have these units that are put together for a specific reason like that, you don't want soft, timid officers in these units. Let's just be real. You're not looking for soft, timid officers. You're looking for the most hard-edged officers that you can find to be in these units. Whereas if they happen to come upon a dangerous situation, that they more than likely can properly handle themselves. But on this particular day, there was no danger. You didn't have that dangerous situation. But we all saw how they came in on Mr. Nichols, pulled him out of his vehicle. I mean, you just think, the average person, you get surrounded by cars, 5 guys jump out with guns drawn, pulling you out of their car, whether they're saying they're the police or not. Instinct is going to kick in to survival mode. And the last thing you're going to want to do is have them handcuff your hands behind your back, at least before that confrontation can be de-escalated. You know what I mean? But as we saw, it never came down. It never came down. They went in on 10, and it went from 10 to 100. Okay? It went from 10 to 100. We all seen it. And we had to get to a point. We just went through all of this police reform and all this. But yet, here we are again. So, what has to be done for these type of things to stop happening altogether? They know at the least, at the most, they're going to get second-degree murder. They're going to get second-degree murder. If found guilty, more than likely they're not going to get the maximum penalty. You'll be lucky if you come away with the officer actually doing 5 years in prison for taking a life, for unjustly taking the life of someone. And I'm just so tired of hearing, oh, I feared for my life. I feared for my life. Listen, the duties of a police officer, the first 2 words of their duties are to protect. The second 2, to serve, to protect, to protect, to serve the public. And in order to protect, you have to have, let's just say, a certain degree of fearlessness, okay? Because this is what the job calls for. If you're the type of person that's scared, then being a police officer is not the job for you. It's not the job for you. So this is what I'm getting sick and tired of hearing. Oh, I feared for my life. This is what you signed up for. What do you mean you feared for your life? This is what you signed up for. This is what you were trained for. To serve and protect. And that sometimes means protecting people from themselves. Which would mean some more times than others trying to de-escalate a situation. But as we seen on that video, we watched an execution. The whole world watched an execution. You understand what I'm saying? We watched an execution. And I can't help from feeling like, oh, here we go again. We're going to go through the whole trial thing. And, you know, which is a lot of times, you know, yes, everybody has their right to due process. But a lot of times it becomes a joke. Because when the media runs, say, like a video like that, they run that video, loop. Okay? So by the time you get a trial going and a jury gets picked, They had to ask the jury, are you familiar with this case? You know what I mean? And the jury has to be impartial, meaning that they more so times than often want people who are not familiar with the case so they can be impartial. You know what I mean? But how do you get a jury of 12 people when the whole world has seen this video because it's been played 12 million times? Okay? It started Friday. You got outlets that are still running it, still showing the video. Okay, by now, the whole country has seen it, probably the whole world. All right? It doesn't need to be shown anymore. It doesn't need to be, the video doesn't need to be shown anymore. It's been seen. Because what happens when you have people come in there for the trial and get selected for the jury? No, I'm not familiar with the case. And say this person happens to be placed on the jury. And officers will get found guilty. Right? Now they go on and maybe write a book, something like that. And then say something crazy like, I knew from the first time I saw the video on the news that he was guilty. You know what happens then? You know what happens then? You just made this person's chance at having that verdict turned over on appeal 100 times greater. Simply because the jury was tainted. You came in there and you lied about having knowledge of the case. But at this point, how did you pick an impartial jury? When you had every outlet playing this video probably a whole month straight before it actually dies down to where they're not showing it every day. And as long as protests continue, they're going to be showing the video. Let's just be real. So, I mean, the whole thing was just disgusting. We know the whole thing was disgusting. And I just had to come in. I didn't want to drag the video out or nothing like that. But I'm just so tired. I'm just so tired of seeing the same thing happen with the officers. And it's not, I don't have any hate towards police. I don't have any hate towards police because just like with anything else, you got a lot of good officers out there that actually do their job to the letter. You know? You have a lot of good officers out there that actually do their job. But there's a culture. There's a culture that most police fall under, and they feel as though sometimes they have to act in certain ways to be accepted, to be truly accepted by their peers. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I can trust this. He ain't never did nothing. You know what I mean? As we saw when the one officer said, I hope they're stomping him out. What happened after this officer said, I hope they're stomping him out? Tyre Nichols received devastating kicks to his head. Why isn't this officer charged? Why isn't this officer charged with the other 5? And that's my main issue. That's my main issue with the whole thing. Had he not said those words, would Tyre Nichols have been kicked in the head? Would Tyre Nichols still be here? Had that one officer not stated, I hope they're stomping him out. So do you have to be the one? Isn't it? You're just as culpable as the one who puts in the work, who puts the thing in action. If you put the thought into his head, I know for a fact, if it was me and something was going on, and I say, "Oh, I hope somebody, I hope, I hope they do this to him," so or somebody should go do this, and the person hears is what I said and goes and do exactly that. That means I would be guilty of conspiracy, or at least charged with conspiracy. You know what I mean? Because I simply stated that I wanted to see this. So, what's the difference between me and this officer? Huh? This is what the person, anybody that sees this video, this is the question that I'm asking. Would Tyre Nichols still be alive had that officer not said, "I hope they're stomping him out"? Yeah, he would have definitely sustained a bunch of injuries, but would he still be alive without those kicks to his head? That is the question. And that being the question, and that being so, is see now this is the reason I didn't want to play the video, because even talking about this whole thing is making me get in my, you know what I mean, it's making me get in my feelings, you know what I mean. But the whole thing I see in a nutshell, and I want to know if anybody that's viewing this feel the same way I feel as far as first degree murder charges being brought against at least two of the three officers. You know what I mean? And charges being brought up as well against the officer who put that situation in motion by stating, "I hope they're stomping him out." You're guilty. You're guilty of inciting. You're guilty of inciting. That man could very well still be here today to raise his child. To raise his child. Had those words not come out of your mouth. And with that being said, if you agree with my assessment, I'm gonna need for you to like the video, to comment on the video, to share this video. And I'm not even gonna say subscribe to the channel. If you want to subscribe to the channel, it would be appreciated. But you know what I mean, at this point right now, I'm not worrying about anybody subscribing to the channel. The only reason why I'm asking you to like it, to comment on it, and to share it is just for the algorithm. Just for the algorithm. To get it out there. So we can heighten this call for first degree murder charges to be brought on those two officers. For their charges for the first degree to be added along with the second degree on at least those two officers, as well as the arrest of the officer who stated, "I hope they're stomping him out," for conspiracy and inciting, for the mere fact that Tyre Nichols could very well still be here had he not said that. And with that being said, I great minds think alike, and everybody has greatness in them. You never know when somebody's going to come along and pull that greatness up out of you. So, to the next time, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, share. It's your boy C Major, 2 in the air.